the catch. We're going to give you a little different view of this ball game. So we will be on the first base side. So we'll get the zoom squared away, give you that little tighter shot. People seem to enjoy that. So leadoff man Marty Dozen. This is money line Meatball City, and there's a high pop-up. Majerus is there, and he puts it away for out number 2. So we're underway here. Third game of the night we're showing you. And we hope you're going to be enjoying the coverage so far. George Bliss showed you the defending champs. That game ended up being maybe a little tighter than Circus wanted, but that was only the 4th or 5th game. Here's Chris Stout, and there's a ground ball, and he grounds it through the middle. Of course, Chris, a legacy kid, as we've talked about. So we got the scoreboard squared away. We shouldn't be popping in and out on you like we did earlier. And big news of the tournament so far is we had kind of our first upset. March beat BTA 10-8, and there's a foul ball down the left field line. So it's never really a tournament until you get an upset. Signature fell a little too far behind, although they tried to scratch back in the bottom of the 7th. They were down 10-2. It ended up 10-7. BTA won their first game, lost their second. Moneyline got here beating Iron. And the funny thing about this 3-team grouping, and there's a swing and a foul ball, and that'll be strike 3. We are playing 1-1 count. So Jason Gannett grounds a foul ball with 2 strikes. So Moneyline can't push anything across in the top of the first. And we head to the bottom of the first, no score. The interesting thing is Iron, Moneyline, and Meatball City were the top 3 teams at the SSA Kickoff Classic. And just quirk of fate, they ended up playing back again in this grouping. And Meatball ended up walking off Moneyline to get to the championship when a sinking line drive by Ian Holst bounced over Marty Dozen in center for a walk-off home run. So, of course, Moneyline upgraded. They brought in the 2 Davis brothers, Brian and Eric. And, of course, Marty Dozen, after spending a year away, came back. So we fully expect that Moneyline is going to be a good, solid club this year. Leading off, Mike Marola, and he cuts a ball down into left field for a leadoff hit. So, again, Mike, a quick guy, and, you know, him and Pops have been terrific early season at the top of the lineup. So here's Pops Alejandro, leadoff man on. Pops takes that pitch a little deep. Of course, Eric Mandarino, a lot of Mudville influence in this game. Did play for me, as did several. And there's a little ground ball. Brian Dave, or excuse me, that's not Brian, that's Drabel over here. Ryan Drabel fell down, rolled around, and then rolled the ball to second for the fielder's choice. And Mike Marola got caught in a bad spot there because the ball was literally hit right in front of him, and he had to literally stop so he didn't get hit. And that brings up one of the whiz boys, Mike. And Meatball's pretty much got just about everybody in whiz. A little too tall for Drabel at first. He got a palm on it. But unlike that signature game when Marston slapped the ball to the second baseman, that ball was juiced by Wiz. And now they got runners on the corner. Brings up Joe Filomeno. And we'll get to some of the rules at the half inning for those of you new to 16-inch Chicago-style softball. It's a thing, folks, and it's growing, and we take great pride in our efforts in bringing the game to you and trying to grow it throughout the country. So here we go, Joe Filomeno, and he hits under it. That will score the first run of the game. Wiz is going to try it, and he'll make it easily.
Hey, do the job, Joey.
So Meatball City, an early 1-0 lead here. And just talking a little bit with Joel Alejandro, the manager of Meatball City, the message he was sending to his team was, the last time we played these guys, we let the game be too close. So that'll bring up Nick Wiz. And Nick gets under one, little fly ball. Center fielder is there. Marty Dozen puts it away, but after one complete, 1-0 Meatball. So again, for those of you new, you're seeing it correct. We do not wear gloves 99% of what we do out here. This is a 16-inch clincher. It is not a mush ball. We got guys that can hit this thing 300 feet. And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a little tricky. 60-foot bases, 38 from the pitching rubber to the point of home, 612 on the arc. We're playing no glove, which means the pitcher gets what we call a drag step. One step left, back, or right. Two fakes or hesitation. Third arm action must deliver to the ball home. A throw or a fake toward a base is considered one of your hesitations. 612 on the arc. We're playing 1-1 today and tomorrow. Over the weekend out here, it'll be open count. And we use heavy bats, up to 38 ounces, 2 1/4 on the barrel. And they can be no longer than 34 inches. So you're up to speed. Anything that bounces over, through, or under a fence is a ground rule triple. So the leadoff man here, ground ball, Marola, normally sure-handed, can't make the play, and Andrew Beam leads off with a base hit. And Andrew is one of the guys on this money line team, a lot of pop. We'll see if he drives something later in the ball game. And that's going to bring up Ryan Drabol, the first baseman. So Moneyline trying to get right back into it and trying to get that one run back. And there's a little short pop-up. Mike Marola, former outfielder, gets there, makes a sliding catch, no tag. Of course, Mike, a center fielder for a lot of years with the Traffic Ball Club. And you can see it a little more pronounced here. You can see how that outfield really dips. So Mike was not only hauling, but he was also running downhill for drainage purposes. And we talked about that during the signature flashback game. And here's Kevin Norris, steps on it, pops, double play. Of course, Pops Alejandro, very slick defensively. He's actually an excellent shortstop. But they got Mike Wiz over there, so they slid Pops up the middle, and that was just tailor-made. Ball took Pops right to the bag. I like what he did there. You can tell when a guy is a polished infielder. He didn't rush. He knew he was going to be able to make that play pretty easy, and he did. So Moneyline had their way with iron.
Wide open, Dawes.
Flashback won 2 games tonight as they beat Goodwood, scoring 10, and then they beat Signature, scoring 10. So this is going to be John Dawes, the pitcher, and he slaps it, and that's off the pitcher. Nor can't get to it. And JD gets himself on base. JD's got real good back control, so he can cut it. He can hit line drives over the infield. He can guide it through a hole. He's come a long way as a player since his YTD days. And that's going to bring up Sean Quinn. He's got his start with Splash. And Quinn drills it as he turns and burns. JD will go to third. Runners on the corner. And this is reminiscent of what Meatball did at the kickoff, where they had some very fast starts in that tournament.
Nobody out, Johnny. You got the picture. I got you.
That's going to bring up Jack Harrigan, another acquisition. Jack played at the Major National Tournament last year, I want to say with Moneyline. And there's a line drive, and Stout can't handle it. Another run scores, first and second. 2-0 Meatball. So Meatball has come out, and they're laying some ropes out. Matt Dozen going to go and try to slow things down here a little bit. And, you know, Meatball City's hitting the ball hard. So far they put a lot of pressure on the Moneyline defense. And Moneyline's got some good players, and they do have some younger players. So Matty just wants to calm the situation down. Make the on-deck hitter have to sit and think about things a little bit. And it's going to be Jake Majerus now. A run in, first and second, nobody out here in the bottom of the second. Sorry, Cliff. I got to give some background on the players, man. Not everybody's a lifelong participant with the team like you are with the Pharaohs. And there's a high fly ball, infield fly rule. That'll be the first out of the inning. I like what he was trying to do. He was trying to go the other way. Just kind of reached a little bit and didn't barrel it up.
He's like 10 feet behind.
And that'll bring up Jake Caballero, the left fielder. And Jake's a small guy, but he covers ground, and now he flips it the other way, but Matt Martin up to the task. So after scoring a run and having first and second, 2 hitters in a row now, they have not advanced the runner, and they're back to the top of the lineup with Mike Marola. Base hit his last time up.
Come on, Michael, stay hot.
People have been asking me all day today, what do I think? Who's going to win the event? High pop-up. And that should be the third out, and it is. Marola flies out to Eric Davis. And, you know, when you get to the first tournament, a lot of times how you've been playing coming in doesn't mean much. But if you had to take a look at the big teams and say who's off to a great start, who's playing great softball, the 45s are certainly playing very well. They're scoring a ton of runs. Their 2 big acquisitions, P.J. Raines and Jeff Mastari, are playing like they've been there for a decade. And they're a little bit more athletic in some positions now, and they're going to be a problem. So they're certainly playing the best. Circus is a little bit of an unknown. Me and Jerry Brown, when we broke the bracket downs, discussed the fact that they hadn't played a lot of games. They did win, I believe, 14-7 against Impact. Circus has to play 2 tonight, so they're playing Menace, and we'll try to keep you abreast of the score. Excuse me.
Come on, Nick, stay hot.
So here's Nick Drabol, then it'll be Eric Davis, and then Matt Martin. Of course, Nick, one of the movers over at Sweet Buzz, a new sponsor for the SSA, and part of the reason why we can do the Chicago Summer Series. I would tell you to go to the Game Changer page and see if you can click on the leader page. It's already populating. So there's a ground out. 2 outs in the inning now. Brings up Eric Davis. I think there's 2 outs if they're right on the scoreboard.
I guess so, Rick.
And Eric puts a charge into it. Long run for Caballero, and he makes the... Oh, he dropped the ball. I got screened by a fielder. He got there, went into a slide, and he dropped it. And the other night out in Melrose Park, he ran to the gap, laid out, and caught a ball one-handed. So little unusual there. Brings up Matt Martin. 1 out only here. So the door is slightly ajar here for Moneyline. And Matt Martin comes through it. 2-1 ball game. Matt, a tall kid, long strider, no problem getting into second. And it's now 2-1, 1 out, tying run at second. So there's 2 outs. Menace is in the field in the second inning. So when they get the third out, we'll see if the inning changes, and then we'll be able to kind of monitor. It brings up Eric Mandarino, the pitcher. And Eric pounds it on the ground. Nick Wiz, long throw, 1 hopper, and a little bobble there. Nick Wiz rushed it. Eric, deceptive speed. He was already running out of the box as he hit a 2-hopper to Wiz. Wiz is shaking his head saying, that's my fault. He's got a strong arm. He just threw it into the ground. And now they're back to the top of their lineup with Marty Dozen here. And Marty hammers a ball toward right, but Majerus right on the spot. That ball was a rocket, folks, but unfortunately he hit it, didn't quite get it to the gap. And Majerus, who's off to a good start this season, got there. And now it brings up one of the veterans, so it looks like Circus is winning that game 2-0, bottom of the second. So Brian Davis has been one of the best RBI producers in the game for a decade. He's got a chance to tie this game up. John Doss wanted that, but didn't quite get the call there. And Davis hits it through Wiz at short. We're all tied at 2. Brian Davis scalded it the other way. Nick Wiz timed it right, got up there, but the ball overpowered him. Went through his hands, RBI single. Runners on the corner now for Chris Stout. So Wiz over there, normally very sure-handed, couldn't make that catch. And Stout hits a bullet. And Moneyline, Caballero, a little fumble. But Moneyline scores another run. They take their first lead of the ball game here. Top of the third inning. And now they're going to try to slow the game down. Jason Ganick is coming up. So Circus, bottom of the second, leading Menace 2-0 on the other diamond. Gotta love tournament softball, folks. Again, the big news, March upset BTA tonight. And Ganick hits a high fly ball. That'll do it. That'll be the third out of the inning, but good job by Moneyline to flip the script as they grab the lead 3-2 as we head into the bottom of the third. A lot of energy on the field between these two teams. A lot of good young players, both sides. Well, a lot of times, Amalia, it depends on whether they think somebody is better defensively. Now, they've put Kevin Nora at second. Not sure where Mike Marola is. I don't see him in the outfield. Or I'm sorry, Meatball City's hitting, so of course I wouldn't see him. but they may be short an infielder today, and that might be why Mike is playing second. And Pop's there. Good pitch. He wants to cut. Mandarino. Pop's kind of walked himself out of that swing. He's a cutter by nature. And as he walked up, that pitch was inside and deep, and he had a very awkward swing. So that brings up Mike Wiz. And that ball's going to be out of play. Again, it's cool, but there's no breeze. If you're playing on a night like today, you feel pretty good. And we should see the ball carry well tonight. Although you can tell with all of the rain earlier today, you can see behind the Meatball City dugout, there's a big wide open area, and beyond that, they have one of those drainage type deals for residential areas. So this field is always about 10 degrees cooler than the other one. So here's Wiz now on the reset. And he hammers a base hit to dead center field. 1 out base runner for Meatball. Here comes Joe Filomeno.
Now, Joe, now!
Popped up his last time.
You got the pitcher, I got you.
Tried to swing out of his shoes his last time.
How many steps does he get? I don't care.
Filomeno swings, got under it, can of corn for Dozen, and he makes the play. So 2 outs in the inning. And that's going to bring up Mike's brother, Nick.
Man on a base hit here. Kevin, you got the cut.
So with 2 outs, Mike Wiz will be running on the swing. And there's a line drive. Dozen got turned around, but he reaches up and makes the catch. That ball was hit right at him. So when he dropped step to go back, looked like the ball was hooking back over his shoulder. He danced a little bit, and there's one of my favorite guys, Marty Dozen. Maddie's brother, both of them Mudville alum. Of course, Marty got in the Hall a few years ago. So Meatball can't do anything with the 1 out single, and we head to the top of the 4th, 3-2. Circus and Menace now, still 2-0 Circus, top of the 3rd. Circus batting. Thank you, Red. So, of course, Red Davis, his 2 sons on the team, looked over there and said they just changed the scoreboard. Here's Andrew B., and he hits a fly ball. Didn't quite get all of it. Sounded like he hit it toward the end of the bat a little bit. Brings up Ryan Drabo with Kevin Knorr on deck. So I'd like to thank Jim, who does the grounds out here. And there's a high fly ball. And that'll be out number 2. You could kind of see when Ryan was in the box, he was waving the bat around. And when you wave the bat around, you're not consistent because it's hard to have a start point for your swing. A guy named Chuck Whittington. And Kevin Knorr slashes one, and Sean Quinn can't make the catch. The ball bounces away from him. Knorr's going to chug into third base with a 2-out triple. And Chuck used to wave the bat, so the barrel would come toward the pitcher, and then he'd snap it back, he'd wave it. So I used to tell my pitchers, don't throw the ball until his bat is in the forward position, because then he'd have to get the bat back into a hitting position and load his hands. And as he got older, he stopped doing it as much, and he became a terrific hitter. Nick Drabel, that's going to end the inning. So a little two-out excitement for Moneyline. They can't get a hit, and we'll stay at 3-2 as we head to the bottom of the fourth.
Let's go, D. Let's go.
6, 7, 8.
So 4-0 Circus. One of the things I expected was if Circus could win 2 games tonight and they could get their guys 7-8 game at-bats, that was going to be huge for them as they try to three-peat out here. So it's going to be John Doss, Sean Quinn, and Jack Harrigan, 6, 7, 8 here. Meatball chasing a run here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Come on, get the leader here, leader.
So as usual, the game had a lot of energy and a lot of balls getting whacked pretty hard early. Now you almost get the sense it's settling back in. We see that all the time in 16-inch.
Hey, no, you. Hey.
Glad you could join us, Gene. And there's a little ground ball to Mandarino. JD didn't run down the line. He kind of got twisted up there swinging. Brings up Sean Quinn.
Hey, come on, Sean. Stay high. Let's go, kid.
We love it when we get ex-Chicagoans or new viewers from around the country, and in Amalia's case, overseas.
Ricky, back one.
So here's Sean Quinn. And Sean slashes one, snagged by the shortstop, Jason Gannick. Jason's a tall kid. Took 2 hard steps to his right, climbed the ladder, made the catch. And here's Harrigan. It's interesting because everybody thinks scoring runs in offense leads to momentum, but great defensive plays can do it. And there's Marty Dozen, as quick as it gets out there. Looked like it might have been trouble, but he tracked it down, made it look easy. And snappy ball game as we head to the top of the fifth, 3-2. Meatball City trailing Moneyline. And the game they played in the kickoff was nip and tuck, went extra innings. And then Ian Holst hit that walk-off on the crazy bounce. And I don't see Ian. He's not in the lineup.
Go, Ricky.
They do have him on the lineup card. I know in the kickoff, he made a great catch, but he landed on his shoulder. He throws left-handed, but he landed on his right shoulder. He's a left-handed hitter, so while it didn't affect his throwing arm, that is the lead arm if you're a lefty. And that can be problematic. So here's Eric Davis. I used to get an inflamed bursa sac in my right shoulder every once in a while. And if you never had one of those, that is painful. And a lot of ice and aspirin. Just tried to manage it. It didn't clear up until I got to the winter that year. And there's a high fly ball. Sean Quinn is there, and he puts it away. Yeah, Gino and that highlight team, they got a few characters on that group, including Chicken. So here's Matt Martin. With Eric Mandarino on deck. And there's a high fly ball he reached. Puts that away. So both pitchers doing a good job settling into this ball game as we are in the top of the fifth inning of a 3-2 game. Now we got a pinch hitter for Mandarino. Brian Nowakowski. Brian was in the Minnesota Twins farm system way back in the day. Played on a great team called the Storm. They were out of Indiana, just over the border. And that was a real good, solid club. They were actually the team we beat when Mudville won the Class A National Championship in 2002. And there's a ball up the middle, and that's Gio's pet peeve. John Doss thought the short center was going to be there and just didn't even make an effort. And that's why I used to tell my pitchers, just go for the ball if it's within a step either side of you, especially in the air like that.
Eric, 2 outs.
So Eric Mandarino re-enters, and that'll bring up Marty Dozen, and it's always a good idea to get Marty up with runners on. And that time, to Gio Maluk. So it's still a 3-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Meanwhile, Circus has exploded, and they lead 11-0 in the 3rd inning. Just hold on to it. So we got ourselves a nail biter here, last game of the night, this 9:30 time slot. And, you know, if you're money line, you don't want to sit on this because Meatball does have the hammer. So it's going to be Jake Majerus, Jake Caballero, and Mike Marola here. So if you're Jake and Jake, not often you see 2 Jakes. Batting back to back, your job is to try to both get on base and feed your top, and there's a high pop-up, nor a little belly catch, out number 1. And you know, sometimes you're better off being down a run or 2, and I know you're all rolling your eyes saying, what the heck is Gio talking about? But when you get into these one-run games, sometimes hitters get greedy, and they start over swinging because they want to drive something. But you just got to keep doing what you normally do, which is get your hit. And there's a little ground ball. Eric Mandarino right where he's supposed to be. And somewhere there are Major League Baseball managers that wish their pitchers would do that. Eric took the right angle, was there in plenty of time. And his brother did a good job. He caught it. And, of course, the short center was on the other side of the field, so Eric easily got there. So 2 up, 2 down here. In the bottom of the 5th, top of the lineup, Mike Marola, and that's going to sit. See, Mike is difficult because when he was younger, he was rail thin. He's a wrestling coach, and he's built himself up. So even though he's small size-wise, if you cheat him too much, he can beat you in the gap. And so Eric Davis would rather give him a 2-out hit in front than something over the top. And Pops now tries to cut, and that's going to be foul out of play. The guys that always complain about the 1-1 count are the cutters because they feel like they only get one shot at cutting the ball.
Kevin, watch your right hand.
The power guys don't really care too much because they're just looking for something to hammer. So Pops has got to keep it fair now.
You're good. Nice pitch.
That pitch a little high. And this is an important out because you got Mike Wiz coming up, and he does have big pop. And Pops is going to try to flip it, but there's Marty Dozen. Pops really doesn't have a long game, per se. And so sometimes a ball like that with a little bigger, stronger guy is going to fall in. But they were squeezing them in center. And a lot of times people ask me, what's the difference between major and A? The difference is the major teams will try and understand what you do, and they'll try to take that away, and there's more shifting and sliding. Had a good talk today with Reese from 10 Deep, and he was asking me a little bit about hitting and how to defend. And you know, when we defended a cutter and we knew he was a cutter, I would tell my pitchers, throw it up and inside. So if he cuts it, he's got to cut the left field line. Here's Brian Davis. And then we'd have our left fielder come down. And this ball's hit right at Sean Quinn. And then we would slide the center fielder out over to watch the back door. And if the kid was a cutter and couldn't go down the right field line, we'd have the right fielder follow the center fielder and shift as well. A lot of A teams don't think like that. And it can be dangerous if your pitcher flattens out. But we used to tell our outfielders, if we tell you to come in and a ball gets airmailed over your head, and Stout smokes one, Quinn won't get to that though. 1 out, base hit. We always told the outfielder, it's not your fault, that's on the pitcher. But again, you got to be willing to take those chances.
Somebody start a big inning. Let's go.
So that'll bring up Jason Ganick, made the great jumping catch on a hard line drive earlier in the ball game. Again, we are live from Mayfair Park, 2024 Westchester Tournament of Champions in conjunction with the SSA. It's a Park District event, but we help them out. We actually run the tournament. And there's a bomb toward the gap. Forget about Stout. He's going to score. Ganick is going to hustle into third with a 2-out triple. And Moneyline picks up a little insurance as they push out to a 4-2 lead here.
With the hit, Pete, with the hit.
So John Doss flattened out just a hair on that. Jason isn't really a cutter. He takes a good hard swing, so if you flatten out to him, you're right in his wheelhouse. And speaking of guys that can drive the ball, here's Andrew Beam. Now Andrew is capable of going the other way as well. So if you're Meatball City, your offense is not, can't make the catch, but he recovers. And that was a great play by Marola. The runner couldn't go anywhere. He had to make sure the ball wasn't caught. Mike recovered quickly, got it to first. And Ganick had to stay there. So it brings up Nick Drabel with Kevin Knorr on deck. And Kevin Knorr has turned into a good, solid little hitter. So even if you had thoughts of maybe not pitching to Ryan, Kevin Knorr is not a slouch. He'll usually give you a quality at bat. So 2 outs here, Meatball City here in the top of the 6th trying to put a Band-Aid at it. So they're being very, very careful here. And he comes through. So Ryan Drabel comes through with a big hit, and Moneyline is pushed out to 5-2. And here comes Kevin Knorr. Ryan is a pretty aggressive base runner. And Knorr sweeps one. That's in front of Quinn. Ryan will get to third easily. Runner's on the corner. And it brings up Ryan's brother, Nick. So Circus firmly in control, 11-0 in the top of the 4th.
Let's go, Nick.
And They seem like they're gearing it up. Besides Michelangelo, they had their whole squad out. And Nick hits a fly ball. Caballero's there. But in the inning, they push across a couple of runs. They push out to 5-2. And we head to the bottom of the sixth. And if you're Meatball City here, you got to rekindle your offense a little bit. So stick with us all weekend, folks. We're going to try to show you 3 more games tomorrow night. Carlos Flashback did win. They beat Goodwood 10-0. And then they opened up a big lead on Signature, bottom of the 7th. Signature scored 5 to make the final score 10-7 Flashback. And Wiz swings and he drives it. That's trouble. That gets over Dozen. That ball's bouncing around 300 feet away. This is going to be a leadoff triple. And it brings up Filomeno. Now you're down 3 runs here, and it's late in the ball game.
Hey, out for the run, boys.
And if you're Joe Filomeno and you're Meatball City, you want Joe to go for a hit here. And if he doesn't score the run, then you leave it up to Nick Wiz to make sure that with less than 2, he scores the guy. And Joe, he's been hitting very high, long fly balls all day, and that's caught. It will drive in a run, but, you know, like I said, Joe is such a good hitter. You'd like to see him focus a little bit and try to get a hit. And that's what I talked about sometimes in these close games. Guys get outside themselves, and they're swinging for the fences. No such thing as a 5-run homer. But he does score the run, 5-3 here, bottom of the 6th. Money line leading Meatball. And there's a swing, and that's going to be easy for Dozen, out number 2. And that'll bring up JD. And now if you're Meatball City, if you're coaching, what you're hoping for is that you might get a couple of hits here and get a little deeper into your batting lineup and try to get your top up there one more time.
One more, Matt. One more.
Again, these guys went 8 innings in the SSA Kickoff Classic. And JD, another hit. He's been swinging well all summer. And that was a great example of what I was talking about. He wasn't trying to do too much. He got a good pitch, and he just flattened out and just guided that ball into center field. So here's Sean Quinn with Harrigan on deck. And I tell you, it'd be interesting if Sean Quinn can keep the inning going, because Harrigan is the kind of guy that he does hit the ball hard toward gaps. Although he seems to be touching his right shoulder a little bit and shaking it over there in the on-deck circle. And Quinn swings, ground ball, and it sneaks through. The inning will continue. Runners on the corners. Sean Quinn, good job there again. That's a good at-bat. He wasn't trying to drive it, wasn't trying to... And now Matt Dozen going to slow things down here before Harrigan comes up. Harrigan put a charge into one earlier, but Eric Davis got there. Now we got the pinch runner coming in. And I don't have they didn't put the numbers on their lineup card, so I'm not quite sure. We'll get you a name here. So here's Harrigan. Tying run here at first. Harrigan up. I assume they put this young man in because he can run. 2 outs, any kind of long stretch single, he may score and tie the game up. And Harrigan pops it up. That'll be easy for Davis. So they do score 1. Harrigan popped up, looking ahead to the 7th. It's going to be 9 and 10, the 2 Jakes, Majerus, Caballero, and then the top. So we go to the 7th in a nip and tuck ball game, 5-3 here at the Westchester TOC. Again, a historic night as we kicked off the Kickoff Classic. And if you go on the Game Changer page, the leaders are already starting to populate. Of course, it's too early to say that any kind of leaders will carry through. Now, the way Game Changer is structured, the entire summer series is being treated like a league. So those stats are going to accumulate after each of the events. Don't get fooled by the team standings, because in double elimination, you can win a tournament and go 7-1. Here's Eric Davis. Thank God I'm short, because that ball whistled 6 feet over my head. Red didn't even flinch over here.
Never saw it. Come on, Ricky.
He said, I don't have my glasses. I couldn't see it. So here's Eric Davis, of course, Red's son, as is Brian. And Eric pounds it right at Marola, pitch and catch. So Meatball trying to get through this inning right here to give themselves a chance. It brings up Matt Martin. So getting back to that team standings, we have a point system, so Anthony Tyler will be using the point system based on wins, losses, people, bonus points for winning an event. So I'll be right back, folks.
Johnny, get here. Johnny, get here.
So the team standings will be different because we take into account, and Eric Mandarino tries to walk the dog, and that's going to be out of play. We take into account wins in the winner bracket versus losers bracket. And that's how we gauge it, because, and don't have the sheet in front of me for how the points are calculated. I wanted to say it was like 5 points for a win in the winner bracket, 2 points for a win in the losers bracket. Because we want to make sure if a team goes clear, they're going to get clean, they're going to get more points than somebody coming through a losers bracket. And Mandarino back to JD. So Meatball hold serve, do or die bottom of the 7th. There's a money line clinging to a 2-run lead. And it's going to be Jake Majerus, Jake Caballero. We'll see if they hit for him. And then Mike Marola. So again, if you're Meatball, you need one base runner to be dangerous and put the tie in the box. So very interesting. It's been a well-played defensive game. A lot of good players, and to me, this is a sign of respect because Moneyline came out. And when teams respect each other, that's what you see. You see lower scoring games. Nobody's free swinging. So here's Jake Majerus now. And Jake slashes one. Can't make the play, the throw. And that was bang, bang. I was backing up. I didn't want to get run over. As they say, you can rewind the tape.
Every AD?
Somebody on Moneyline said he was safe by 3 steps. It's very possible he was safe, but it wasn't by 3 steps. So you can rewind the tape and you can take a look at it. But it's been a well umpired game here. And I believe this is Caballero hitting. And he swings, and Matt Martin makes the catch. Again, like I said, it's been a very, very well played game. And now Mike Marola is the last hope here to keep the game alive for Meatball City. Pops Alejandro on deck. Of course, Mike very fast. So if he gets on base, he can get around in a hurry. But then the pressure would be on Pops. And with 2 outs, if it does get to Pops, I know the thought process sometimes is you want to really come down and you really want to squeeze them. And there's a ground ball. Mandarino and Moneyline made that 5 runs hold up in a well played defensive game. Moneyline wins 2. They stay clean. And Meatball City, the other night out in Melrose, they lost to Hex 4-3. And I know speaking with Joel, he was saying that they're just not scoring enough runs right now. And it showed up. They hit a few too many fly balls, I thought. They're more of a line drive team. And right now they're just hitting the ball in the air. But tight game here. That's going to conclude our coverage. I will update the live bracket board before I leave. That circus game is 15-0, so that'll be ending shortly. And we'll have the live bracket board updated. Again, if you want to see the bracket board, head on over. I put that document up. Click on the big softball. It'll take you to the tournament page. Go down to either the second or third link there, and it'll take you to the scoreboard. So on behalf of that game is official, 15-0. So we'll be back out here tomorrow night. Tournament restarts 6:30. It's going to be great weather. Make plans to come out, man. Talk to you